Well, good morning YouTube, and welcome back to Retired for Life. Today is supposed to be a really hot, muggy day, and it's already pretty hot. They're talking about feels like 36 degrees with the humidity level, and boy, that's getting hot enough. So we're not going to be outside for too long today. I just got a couple of quick things to do. One of them is we need to go out into the bush and find that piece for Donna's cat's scratching post. So we're going to look for a piece of cedar and bring it back and put it in the shop so I can put it up in the lathe and turn it. And then we're going to have a little closer look at the siding on the house, and I'll show you why it is I'm cutting all this lumber to redo the board and batten siding. I'll show you what's going on with it. So let's get the little battery chainsaw, which I think is all we're going to need, and we'll go looking for a downed cedar that I can cut a piece off of, and we'll get that back to the shop. So we're down in one of the bigger cedar groves here, and there is a number of things that are down, but I see a potential piece right here by the trail, which will make it pretty easy. We'll have a look at. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Well, that's not bad. There's no cracks in it or anything. And it really doesn't look like it's rotted. Yeah, I think that'll do very nicely. All right, let's head back to the shop. We'll drop this in there and let it dry a little bit. And we'll get out of these mosquitoes. All right, we'll get our cedar put in the shop, and we'll go have a closer look at my pine board and batten siding that's on the house right now. Now, there seems to be an endless array of different ways that board and batten is put on a house. Now, you can see on this side of the house, the battens are 4 inches, and that means the boards are probably somewhere around 10-11 inches, at least that one is. But if you look at this one, it's a different size. You look at this one, it's a different size. And this, you can see how small this is. You can tell that there was an issue with the saw blade here on this board. it looks like it had a bad tooth in it. And you can see how that kind of progressed along here on the different boards as the marks line up just perfectly from one board to the next kind of thing. So there is normally, with board and batten siding, it's put on with anywhere between 12 and 8-inch boards on it, and then 3 to 4-inch battens. Now I've decided to standardize on 8-inch boards with 3-inch battens because to me, with an 8-inch board, your 4-inch batten is just going to look too wide. There is an 8-inch board there, and you can see your 4-inch batten covers a large part of your board, which to me is just kind of a waste, so I don't really want to do that. That's why I've standardized on 8-inch boards and 3-inch battens. So let's go around to the other side of the house. Now you can see this side had some treatment put on it. It did have a layer of probably semi-transparent or transparent stain put on it. It was actually very common to put board and batten siding up and not do anything to it and let it go black. Now the back of the house was also stained, but this is the north facing part of the house, so it really gets some of the winter, and you can see how the boards here are going kind of black. So this is the west facing side of the house, and this pine that was put on was never treated, and you can see how black it is, and it's really badly weathered. It's very, very rough. These grain lines really stick up quite high, and you can see there was a lot of shorter boards used in this. So this is a pretty different way of doing it compared to the other side of the house. So this house, from what I've been able to find out, has been built in stages. So one section was put up, and then another section, then another section. It was a pretty unusual construction. And this front piece, this is going to be the first wall I work on. Now this front piece is right now just a storage room, and it was initially designed to be a greenhouse. So it wasn't supposed to be all enclosed like this. So I have no idea what I'm going to find underneath this when I start pulling the board and batten off. But you can see some of the issues with the board and batten, like this big gap that's here. That's from the boards twisting and turning and that type of thing. Now I've seen some YouTube videos where the boards have been installed actually pushed right up against each other. To me, that's a mistake. That leaves you no room for those boards to move at all. And in this case, somebody either got really cheap on the boards or just had too much gap in there. So normally you would see on boards and battens this size, you would see about a 1-inch gap in between the two boards, and then your batten is what covers that gap. Now because I'm using slightly smaller boards, I'm going to go a slightly smaller gap and put in a 3/4 inch gap. And I have no idea what I'm going to find down at the bottom. Now the bottom here is obviously not very well done. The boards are all rotting away. So what I want to do is put pressure treated boards along the bottom, running along with the ground rather than up and down. And then on top of that will go the board and batten. So that should help protect boards from rotting and getting the kind of condition that this is in. So it'll be interesting to see what's underneath here. And to be honest, more than a little scary before starting on it. As there are you get around to the front here, and you can see there is considerable gaps along the bottom. The boards were very inconsistent, and you can see that there is a cement foundation there, which is a good thing. But it almost looks like the boards are right up against the cement. And again, they're just not in very good shape. So if that first side works out all right, this will be the next surface I do. And I have got more than enough to do this much. And the nice thing is I'm working with 8-inch boards, and everything is a little under 8 inches for the most part, so I won't have to put any splices or anything in them. So that's really good. And that will have the two worst sides of the house done. So I've got to still get my galvanized nails. You've got to use galvanized nails when you're doing stuff outside like this. And I'm also going to get a roll of house wrap, because I'm not sure what I'm going to find under here. And pretty much no matter what it is, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to put on some fresh house wrap. So that gives you an idea as to what I'm planning here anyway. Best laid plans. Always got to be ready to change as you go. So there's my pieces for Donna's cat's scratching post. So I initially cut a piece of ironwood, but it's just so hard. I don't think I'll be able to put fasteners or anything into it to hold the rope in place. So I went back out and went back to plan A and cut a piece of spruce. Love the smell of that. So I'm just lining up here for my marks for the ends, and then we'll put it in the lathe. All right, let's true this thing up a little bit. We're going to start really slow and work our way up. It's just going to be too unbalanced to go too fast to start with. Oops, blew a fuse. Well, as we get it turned down, the more stable it becomes. So we're getting there. All right, we're getting closer here. We got this end pretty much rounded off. This has been down since last year, not sitting on the ground or anything, but it's still really wet. So we're going to continue rounding it off here and see how the rest of it looks. So the rounder it gets, the more stable it gets, the easier it is to turn. And now I can actually start turning the lathe speed up a little bit. They're getting closer to what I would call a good diameter. So this doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, especially under where the rope is, because obviously it's covered by the rope. But my idea is to put kind of a larger diameter here, right at the base, and then a fairly tight radius in here, and turn this part of it down, maybe an inch smaller than the base here. That'll give the rope something to butt up against, kind of thing, and I won't have to take it right down to the plate. We're getting there. It's starting to look okay. Well, I've pretty much got it roughed out now, and as you can see, I'm going for a bit of a taper from one end to the other. But it is just so damp, I can't really sand it. So what I'm going to do is take it inside at this point and give it a few days actually sitting in front of my dehumidifier. Hopefully that'll make it a little better. And then I'll clean up on this and we'll head on to the next job. Well guys, I got the scratching post for Donna's cats all done. I left the post part of it in front of my dehumidifier for a couple of days and then sat it out in the sun, and that did a really nice job of drying it up so I could turn it and sand it without any trouble at all. So it's all finished up in place and down to Donna's, and while doing that I filmed the whole thing and then very skillfully managed to delete it. So I can't show you the finished product. But anyway, it looks like the cats are enjoying it already, so that's a good thing. So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you found that little bit about board and batten interesting. And as I've said, I'm not an expert on this. With a lot of the things, if not pretty much everything I'm doing here, it's learn as you go. And that's part of what makes it fun. So, thanks very much for watching, guys. And we'll see you on the trails the next time.